listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone Radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio and TV show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone at X-Zone Radio TV on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. By the way, X-Zone Nation, you can now go to www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com and read the March edition of the X Chronicles that is available in digital format online. If you use Internet Explorer, you can access all of the multimedia embedded files that we have for you there. If you're using Chrome or Firefox, unfortunately, the embedded media will not work. It's available for you, 92 full-color pages. Articles include the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. We have a story of that the Toronto Star did on the psychic industry in Toronto and the charlatans and how they operate, as well as many other great stories. That's at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. My guest this hour is Eddie Parks, and Eddie's been investigating the paranormal for 12 years. He first got interested in the paranormal when he was 12 years old. He was staying at grandparents' farmhouse and would see a floating lady come walking down the hallway at night. Now, he later discovered the home had been built on a burial ground and a field hospital during the Civil War. Now, when he got older, he decided to try his hand at paranormal investigations. He joined a few groups, but was put off by their tactics and ethics. Smart man. The group in particular carried and drank beer during the investigations. He decided to form his own group. That was a challenge. There are a lot of trial and error, but he got his ethics and morals to guide him. He ended up actually doing tours at paranormal locations for the state of Kentucky at different haunted locations. He is now affiliated with historic Sherman Tavern, and he helped them restore the site by doing ghost tours there. The money they get for the tours is donated to the restoration of the site. He also helps Boone County, Kentucky libraries with cemetery walks they hold at historic sites. He is currently getting together a lecture series this summer on all things paranormal. His group also does many private investigations, not to find the ghosts, but to help the people with their paranormal problems. Helping people is their first priority, and then finding proof of the paranormal comes after that. Joining us now from Northern Kentucky is Eddie Parks. And Eddie, welcome to the show, and my hat is off to you for the work you do helping.
Hey, Rob, how's it going?
It's going great, my man. It's going great. What did you find out about that floating lady that was going down the hallway at the grandparents' farmhouse?
Well, we didn't find out a whole lot until years later.
Mm-hmm.
That she had been a nurse at the field hospital.
Right.
And supposedly she had gotten raped and killed there at the hospital.
Wow. Tell me, why do you think that ghost hunting, ghost research, paranormal investigations, or just general interest in the paranormal is so popular these days, Eddie?
I think the TV shows got it popular.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, people started forming their own groups.
The TV shows, are they an asset or a hindrance to serious investigators?
That's a double-edged sword to me.
Really? Well, listen, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk more to Eddie Parks. The website is tristateshadowchasers.com, Exonation, and we have so much more to talk to Eddie about. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. This hour talking about ghost hauntings, things that go bump in the night, as the X-Zone continues from our broadcast center here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X. Don't forget, the X Chronicles newspaper, available free of charge online at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com.
The kids are playing up downstairs, sister's sighing in her sleep. Brother's got a date to keep, he can't hang around. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quiet.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wieka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wieka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Linnea Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com.
Well, she seemed alright by dawn's early light, though she looked a little worried and weak. She tried to pretend he wasn't drinking again, but Daddy left the proof on her cheek.
Eddie Parks is our guest this hour. www.tristateshadowchasers.com. That's tristateshadowchasers.com. Eddie, before we went to the break, I asked you about the reality TV shows, whether they were a hindrance or an asset to paranormal investigators like yourself. And you said it was a double-edged sword. All right, give me both sides of your blade.
Okay. I think they're helpful very much, Rob, because they brought the paranormal out into the open, to the world, for everyone to know about.
Sure.
That way there's more gear, more investigations, better this, better that. It's always going down the line, getting better.
Yeah. But
there's a big but there. It's a hindrance because you have thousands of groups now that have watched it on TV and think they can go out and do that without the proper training. And it hurts people.
When you say proper training, what do you mean by that, Eddie? What is there to fear when you're actually going out to do a paranormal investigation?
Well, the way I see it is like this. You have to have protocols and methods that you're doing it.
Right.
You have to know what you're doing. You have to know the gear that you're using. You have to investigate the home ahead of time for safety hazards. You have to have good ethics and morals. Like I said, when I first started, I saw a group that would just go drinking at people's homes.
So it was more of a social gathering than it was anything else.
Exactly. And if I have a client, I can't go into their house like that.
Of course not.
So that's the hindrance. Everyone thinks they can do it now, and they really can't. It takes years and years to be able to do that.
So when somebody comes to your organization, the Tri-State Shadow Chasers, and they want to join, how do you train them? How do you select whether or not this person is going to be able to do what you do and the rest of your members do in a credible and professional manner?
Well, we put them through a vetting process. We do a background check. We do interviews, extensive interviews. Ask them all kinds of questions about their background, their drug history, anything like that. Then we take them on an investigation just to see how they will react. And if we like the way they do it, then we start training them little by little. You know, a piece of gear here, a piece of gear there,
Right.
do this, do that, and see how they go. We don't just throw them in full force without any training at all. And they don't usually get to do a home or anything like that until I think they're ready to do a home or anything else.
So how many hours would you say that it takes to properly train an investigator in all aspects of the work that you and the other members of the Tri-State Shadow Chasers do?
I would say it's more than hours. I would say weeks or months,
Wow.
probably. You have to learn how to go over evidence. You have to learn how to, talk to people. You have to learn how to interview people. You have to learn how to, set up equipment and gear. There's all kinds of aspects.
What has been your most scariest experience that you, Eddie Parks, has had investigating the paranormal?
Okay, well, there were two. One of them, recently, we were at a home in a little town outside of where we live at called Walton, Kentucky. We were walking down a set of railroad tracks, and one of our investigators got picked up and thrown back about 10 feet onto the ground, or onto the railroad tracks.
Wow.
And she was standing right next to me, and all of a sudden she was laying on the ground 10 feet behind me. So that was pretty scary.
Yeah, what happened to her? Was it a spirit, an entity? Was it?
That home had to be. That home was pretty bad, and she got a concussion out of it. She had to go to the hospital. She got a concussion.
Oh Lord!
From landing on the railroad tracks. It was a pretty bad situation, a pretty bad home.
What was the other situation? You said there were two.
Okay, well, it's the same town. This town, Rob, is just unreal. There's been so much activity in this town, and death and paranormal activity. I had started my group, and it was just me and a friend. His name is Joe. And we were at a home. It was a small home. And I was downstairs, and he was upstairs. And we had two-way radios. And my radio was off. Rob, it was so small you could talk, like you were talking to each other. And this really demonic sound came over my radio, like a cackle. And I thought it was Joe playing a joke on me. So I walked up the steps, and he comes running down the steps and asking me if I did that. I looked down, and my radio was off. And at the same time, there was a baby that was in the crib. And she started screaming, and the mom ran in there, and there were scratches all over the baby's back.
Oh, my God. Why is there some ghost teams or research organizations that say, oh, come on, no, spirits can't hurt anyone, ghosts can't hurt anyone, and yet you saw a baby with scratches on their back. You saw one of your team members tossed.
Yeah, the picture's on the website.
Yeah. So how do you protect yourself then? You guys go into these houses,
Well, we have priests. We have a priest in the group. We do a prayer of protection if we need to.
Right.
He's a real priest, and we do that. But you never know when you go into a location, Rob, if it's going to be good or bad until you get into the location.
Where would you say the most haunted location that you and your team at Tri-State Shadow Chasers has ever gone into?
Sherman Tavern, probably.
And that's the tavern that you've done the work for, right? Raising money to help restore.
Yes, the Sherman Tavern, 99% of the time, there's activity there.
Why are some locations more active than other at any given time?
Well, we seem to think that it's not usually. Sometimes it could be the location. Sometimes it could be the property. We've done new homes where there's been tons of activity, and old homes where there's been nothing. That's what we're trying to figure out.
So let's talk about the tavern, because obviously you've got a tie to that tavern, and because you're helping restore it. And I would just like to say at the forefront that I believe that paranormal investigation groups like yours serve a very important part in history, because you keep certain parts of history alive. Like, you guys do a lot of research into the past.
Yes, we do.
So tell me a bit about the past of the Sherman Tavern.
Well, it was formed roughly around 1820, and it was originally a plantation, a farm plantation. It had slaves on it. It was originally, I think, between 300 to 500 acres. And there had been quite a few deaths on the property, of course. 1840, it was turned into a tavern. It's like a coach stop tavern.
Right.
There were two of them in northern Kentucky, one at Gaines Tavern and one at Sherman Tavern. And your stagecoach would come up, and you would get off there for the night and just stay over the night. There were they had a saloon, they had beds, they had breakfast. It was a pretty nice place. And then it got turned into a home, and it was abandoned after about 1970. And you couldn't even tell there was a building there. I mean, I'd grown up with weeds, and the walls caved in, and then Friends of Sherman Tavern got hold of it in 2007 and just started repairing it. But there's a lot of activity in that building.
What kind of paranormal activity have you witnessed, or other members of your team witnessed during the investigations that you've done there?
You name it, we've seen it. We've seen full-body apparitions. We've had voice recordings, EVPs. We've doors closing and opening, footsteps, people being touched, all kinds of things.
Do any of these spirits, ghosts, or whatever they are, do they try to communicate with you?
Oh, yeah. EVPs, K2 meters, Mel meters. We can be sitting in one room and hear them talking in another room.
But I mean, do they actually come up to you and try to converse with you without using any electronic equipment? And if so, what do they say? How do they explain what they're doing?
We've heard a little girl in there supposedly had been. Supposedly, we were still trying to figure this one out. Supposedly, had been killed in the building. She'll come up and tug on you, and she'll laugh, and she'll play.
Right.
And we've had people walk by, and you'll hear the footsteps, and someone will reach out and touch you, and there's no one there. Just all kinds of activity like that.
So what do other people say who are not used to having ghosts pop up in front of them or have experiences that can't be explained through the rationale of this three-dimensional realistic world that we're supposed to live in? Like, you guys are used to this. You guys go looking for this. But if somebody's gone to the tavern just to have a couple of brew and this happens, how do they react?
Well, they don't have beer there anymore.
Okay.
It's a historic site, but they react. They get a lot of them freak. We've had a few of them freak out and leave. On some of the tours. We've had some of them get excited because they want to go there to see that. And a lot of them just are really, wide-eyed and, excited about it because it's something new to them. That I've had a few of them leave.
Really, eh?
They get scared.
I don't doubt it. I really don't doubt it. Listen, you and I have to take a commercial break right now, but we will be back on the other side of the news. Please stand by. Interesting. Very interesting. Exonation Eddie Parks is our guest. He's with TriStateShadowChasers.com. And both Eddie and I will be back on the other side of this break with the news as we continue talking about the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology from our broadcast center here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The X-Chronicles newspaper is now available for one and all with our compliments and the compliments of the advertisers. at xchroniclesnewspaper.com. I'm Rob McConnell. Eddie Parks and I will be back. Don't go away.
Tried to pretend he wasn't drinking again, but Daddy left the proof on her cheek. And I was only 8 years old that summer, and I always seemed to be in the way. So I took myself down to the fair in town on Independence Day.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerrean intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerrean Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerrean Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
Eddie Parks is our special guest this hour, Exonation. He is the gentleman who founded Tri-State Shadow Chasers. Their website is tristateshadowchasers.com. And Eddie, what do you think of these para-celebrities?
I don't like them.
Why?
Because a lot of them are making money off of paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
They go, I know some of them that will charge outrageous fees just to have people come and hang out with them at a haunted location.
What kind of fee structure are you looking at?
Well, I have known them to charge $150, $200 just to come and hang out with them at a haunted location.
Wow.
And the money doesn't go to the location, it goes to the celebrity. So I don't like a lot of them for that.
That's not, I love what you and your group and other groups that raise money to help support, like in your case, the Sherman Tavern, but I know other groups that help with the food banks, with the homeless.
Of course,
this to me is what humanity is all about, helping people. And in fact, I've been doing this show now for 25 years with the expressed vision of helping one person a night. That's all.
Well,
if I can make a difference in one person's life, to me that means I've done something good. And when I hear of organizations like yours who are helping to with the Sherman Tavern and other, I'm sure you do other things behind the scenes.
We do a lot of charity work.
This is what it's about, and this is great. This is really great, and I can't. And somebody else is trying to get a hold of you.
That's okay. I'll answer them later.
All right. So, when there are organizations out there that charge to do paranormal investigations or house cleansings or to do research on a property, should John Q. Public stay away from these people?
Yes. I think so, because for one reason, how are you going to charge for something that you don't see or that may not be there?
True.
That's to me is complete fraud, because I could go in someone's house, take all my gear and equipment, set it up, do an investigation. Okay, you owe me $100. I haven't found anything, but you owe me $100. That's fraud to me. I don't get that. You're there to help that person.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there to take their money. They're going to you, and they won't go to the police, the fire, the church, anybody else. They go to you. They trust you.
That is so true.
You're going to take their money. That's not right.
What is the difference between ghost hunting and paranormal investigating?
Okay, well, ghost hunting is what you do for fun. Paranormal investigating is you try to find, to me, it's a scientific way of doing things. You use your methods, you investigate what's really going on, whether it's paranormal, whether it's, someone's house, just leaking, or animals in the attic. You try to find answers. Ghost hunting to me is you're going out to have fun on one of these tours to look for a ghost.
Right. I laugh because some people call it ghost hunting, and when you go to hunt something, you go to kill it or capture it.
Exactly.
How the hell are you going to do that to a ghost?
You can't. You're just going for fun and really just throwing your money out the window.
I see so much of that within the paranormal. I've seen the same thing with Bigfoot organizations, UFO organizations. Yes. I remember going to a place on Niagara on the Lake many, many, many years ago, about 20, 22 years ago, with a good friend of mine, Marty McLean. And this group contacted us and said, you've got, come and see the UFOs going into Lake Ontario. There's a UFO base off the shores of Hamilton.
Wow.
Yeah. So Marty and I go there, and, we're watching, and there they are. They're sitting on their lawn chairs with their big mugs of coffee and their boxes of donuts. And the guy says, there's one now. So you're looking out, and, Lake Ontario in the summer, there's heat conversion over the surface, and, sure enough, this light kind of comes down and disappears. So Marty gets out his map and his compass, Sets everything up, and what do you know? He said, well, it didn't disappear, it just landed. What do you mean landed? Well, if you look where it landed based on the compass heading and the map, it landed at Toronto Island Airport. So what these people had done for months
Was watching
airplanes. And they were convinced that the UFO was landing into Lake Ontario to a submerged UFO base.
Underground, yeah, in the water. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
They didn't. That was just hunting and watching instead of investigating, like your friend did. In 5 minutes, he solved it.
Well, right, exactly. And you know, it reminds me today of going back when I was, let me see, in the 60s. You know, the old CB radio craze. Maybe you weren't around back then, but everybody had a CB, everybody had a handle, and everybody used to park in the coffee shop parking lot and talk to each other on the radio instead of just walking over to the other guy's car.
Exactly.
You know, and it's turning the paranormal into a spoof. And then you had the internet, the world's biggest septic tank that mankind has ever created, because there's more crap in it than anything else. There are still people. I'm sure you can run across people, Eddie, doing what you do with the rest of your Tri-State Shadow Chaser team, where they believe just because they saw it on the internet, it's true.
Oh yeah, we've run across Bigfoot hunters that do that, and it's just like I just laugh at them.
Well, let me ask you this: have you seen? I'm sure you've seen the Patterson Gimlin film of Bigfoot. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm a skeptic about Bigfoot.
Wait a sec. Are you a skeptic, or are you someone who just wants to see empirical proof?
I have to see proof like that. I would have to see proof.
Yeah.
Proof.
Okay.
That video is not proof.
Now, do you have Bigfoot sightings in your part of Kentucky?
We've had a few. There's been a few up here in different places.
And why do
We've never went on a Bigfoot hunt.
No way. How about UFO sightings? Do you have a lot of UFO sightings in your part of Kentucky?
I think we do, actually. There's been quite a few up here, too.
You see, I had this gentleman on the show months ago. His name is Len Caston, and he's one of the biggest proponents of the planet Serpa, where apparently 35, I believe that's the number, 35 American astronauts went to this other planet on basically an exchange program and came back. We have discovered, and so have other media outlets, that this was all a hoax perpetrated by people who wanted to catch the UFO community with their pants down. And they did. They did. And Len was saying, well, Rob, what will it take before you believe? I said, Len, I want to be a believer. I really do. But I want proof. I want to see the proof. I want to have people who are credible tell me that they're at the location. This is it. I want to see it on a major news source like ABC, NBC, CNN. That's when they're not talking about Donald Trump, that is. And,
oh, my gosh. Yeah. That's all they're talking about anymore is politics.
I know.
You're lucky you're in Canada.
No, we're not. No. Hey, listen, our new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, he's still got to prove himself up here. And it's pretty bad when everybody says, you know what, we maybe shouldn't have voted him in. So we've got our own problems up here, my friend.
Lord.
You know, and but I must tell you, ever since Donald Trump has come into the American political arena, there are more and more people who know more from Canada who know more about the American political system than we do about our own.
Oh, that's something different.
You see, I sent an email out to all the candidates from on both the Republican and the Democratic Party, asking them to come on the show to answer questions about the alleged truth embargo about UFOs.
That would be interesting to see their answers.
Well, unfortunately, nobody has agreed yet. Bernie Sanders people have been in touch with us looking for a date later on. Donald Trump's people got back to us. And, so this is in the offing. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. During about 12 years ago, there was another political rally where they were voting for a candidate, and we actually had the people on the show to do a debate on UFOs and the paranormal, and that was great.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it really was. But when it comes to the truth embargo, the alleged truth embargo, do you really think that with all the technology that is available today and the speed at which information is inundating each and every one of us, and with the ability of hackers from other governments who are not friendly to the Americas, including Canada up here in North America, that they would not love to find something as juicy as a conspiracy theory to find proof of a conspiracy in the databases that they are hacking that would prove that the American government has been lying to their people for over 50 years?
I think that would just be they would be chomping at the bit for that.
Well, sure. And to my knowledge, nothing like that's been found.
No, you would think with the way the internet is and technology, we would hear about it. Yeah, and
I also find it very funny that even with the amount of digital cameras that are out there, web cameras that are out there, law enforcement has webcams now in all their vehicles. I've got a webcam in my car. That there still hasn't been that all-conclusive video of Bigfoot or UFOs.
No.
In fact, photos have decreased ever since the digital formats have come out because they're so easy to debunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I agree with you there. It would take, for Bigfoot, it would take a body being on the ground.
And that brings up a lot of questions. Like, how come there has never been the cadaver of a Bigfoot found anywhere? Like, you go through, as a kid, we used to drive from Montreal down to St. John, New Brunswick through the state of, New York, New Hampshire, and then Maine on the Skyway. And you'd see roadkill all over the place because they're heavily traveled by the logging industry. Exactly. How come nobody's found one of these Bigfoot?
Not even a bone.
That's it. That's it.
Why not? If there's thousands of sightings, why isn't there a bone anywhere found?
Doing this show for 25 years, I've realized something. There have been no significant finds within the world of the paranormal. None.
Right.
Whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's UFOs. But I will say this when it comes to ghost research. There has been a lot more activity that has brought more history out about the different locations that weren't documented before.
Oh yeah, that's true. A lot of people are finding these old haunted locations and getting out there the information about them.
That is wonderful. That I think is commendable. And then I have to ask myself, you hear all these stories about Gettysburg. You hear all these stories about the Waverly Asylum. You hear all these stories about these famous haunted locations that no matter who goes there, no matter what time of the day or night it is, there's always paranormal activity.
True.
How does this happen? Do the spirits actually enjoy performing?
I've been to Waverly, and I'll tell you, Rob,
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of activity at Waverly, and it was nonstop.
Really, eh?
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes that if it's an intelligent haunting, that they like to be around people. They enjoy the company.
I have been told by more than one. I can't call them ghost hunters, paranormal researchers. That one of the reasons why ghosts hang around is that they don't know they're dead.
That's true. That's one of the things that we're trying to find out.
How can something know it's not dead? For example, God forbid I pass away tonight and I wake up tomorrow in another state, another dimension. First thing I do in the morning when I wake up is I go to the washroom. Make a trek down to the washroom, do what I need to do, go to the sink to wash my hands, look in the mirror, and I'm not there. Something is wrong with this picture.
Something's wrong with that.
Yeah, and then you go out, nobody talks to you, everybody's grieving, you're not hungry, you can't do this, you can't do that. How could a spirit not know it's dead?
That's an interesting question. That's one we've been trying to solve for quite a while. Anytime we do an EVP session, that's one of the first questions we ask. Do you know you've passed away? Do you know you're gone? Do you know, just trying to ask that question, because I agree with you. How could they not know?
Yeah. And why don't they go to the light? I can understand with recent departures that there's a lot of grief involved. And I understand that grief can hold a spirit back from going across. I can understand that. I can appreciate it. It makes a lot of sense. But if you've got a spirit who's been around for 80, 90 years, like everybody they know should be gone by then. And with them, so why would they want to stay? Some people say, well, it's because of the familiar area.
I think I know the answer to that one.
What is it?
A lot of times, I think that if they don't want to pass on, it's because of something they did, and they're afraid of where they're going to go.
They don't know if they're going to go to heaven or they're going to go to hell.
Or wherever they're going, they don't know and they're afraid.
That's makes sense.
They're afraid to go.
That makes sense. Hey, Eddie, you and I have to take our final break. Stand by, buddy. Great talking to you, Ed. And please give my very best to the other members of the Tri-State Shadow Chasers. You and I will be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone. Once again, X Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Eddie Parks. He is in northern Kentucky. The name of his organization is Tri-State Shadow Chasers, and their website is tristateshadowchasers.com. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Welcome back, everyone. Eddie Parks is our guest this hour. He is the gentleman who founded the Tri-State Shadow Chasers. His website, www.tristateshadowchasers.com. They also have a Facebook page with the same name, and they also have a YouTube account. Once again, the name is Tri-State Shadow Chasers. First of all, Eddie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you for sharing the rich history that you and your other investigators have been able to keep alive. And you know what? I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Eddie. I love the fact that you help. You help your community. You help people. And once again, hats off to you, my friend.
We've enjoyed coming on the show, Rob.
Well, you'll be on in the future, I can tell you that. But Eddie, for tonight, what would you like to leave as a message to listeners of the X-Zone Nation around the world who may be considering, based on your interview right now, they may be thinking, hey, I want to be a paranormal investigator just like Eddie Parks because I want to find out what is behind the curtain as well as helping other people. What advice do you have for them?
Tread lightly. Get you your gear. Learn how to use it.
Right.
Get with a group that's been around a long time and go out on an investigation and find out if you like it. That's the best way to do it. That's the only way to go to find out, just to go and see. If you like the team, stay with them. If not, then go to a different one. There's a lot of teams there.
All right. And what would you say are some of the key points for people to look out for when choosing or selecting a team?
Training is a good one.
Right. And
they have to have some type of training. The team should interview you, to see if you're a good fit.
Right.
They should be willing to take you on an investigation. They should have protocol and methods and morals when they do it. And they should be able to tell you those right off the bat.
And take nothing for granted.
Exactly.
Listen, one quick question before we have to say so long. Why do all or most of the ghost investigators do their investigations at night instead of during the day where it's easier to see what, the layout of the house and, just easier to work, that I would think?
It's been a long tradition because of the dark is supposed to be able to hide things better.
I see.
But we've done things in the daytime and gotten just as much as at nighttime.
Yeah,
so to us, it doesn't matter.
Makes sense. So what have you guys got going on this summer?
Well, we have May 7th, we've got our first tour at Sherman Tavern.
Right.
Then we have 4 lecture series that are posted on our website that are going to be at a local library.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Revenant Acres on June 11th, which is also posted on our website. And we have 2 or 3 events in October, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And this year we're going to concentrate on a lot of different things like cemeteries and old buildings because we haven't had a chance to. We've been so busy doing homes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to go out and see, try to, see what we can see about that because a lot of people say you can and can't see things in cemeteries. So we're going to do some investigating and some research.
Eddie, I want to thank you once again for joining us. Please give my best to the other members of the Tri-State Shadow Chasers. And I look forward to the next time you join us back here in the X-Zone. Until then, take care of yourself, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, Eddie. X-Zone Nation, Eddie Parks has been our guest this hour. www.tristateshadowchasers.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio, and check our website out at www.xzoneradiotv.com. I am Rob McConnell. I'll be back after the news.